The king of curse is Royman Sukuna versus the god of shinobi, Madara Uchiha. Who'd win in this villainous versus battle? For this video, I'm accompanied by the Skittle Man.
Hello, hey, how's it going? You might know me from the highly popular The Skittles Guy YouTube channel that has approximately 30 subscribers. You know what I'm saying? Some like.
Skittles will mostly be covering the Naruto part while I handle Jujutsu Kaisen.
Make sure to comment before watching the video of who you think wins between the two in their strongest forms. Then later you can possibly edit your comment if we manage to change your mind, or even if you think we're absolutely full of baloney.
So without further ado, let's get into Madara's AP first.
As an Edo Tensei, Madara is weaker than his human self by some degree that we're never actually privy to. Despite having Hashirama cells and the Rinnegan, he still states that he was stronger when alive in his prime. I'm going to assume his prime was when he fought Hashirama at the Final Valley. So this Edo Madara fights the current 5 Kage and are easily pushing them to the brink. He says the only reason that they are still fighting is through Inoki and willpower alone. So he decides to instill fear in them and try to break the resolve, in which case he brings out the perfect Susanoo. He pulls out the sword of the Susanoo just to flex on them, and with one swing, obliterates and levels multiple mountains. He then compares himself to Death Incarnate and the Biju. These Biju are nation or countrywide threats, with even some data book statements, such as the one with the Nine Tails saying it has the power to turn the world to ash. It was obviously hyperbolic, but we do know the Nine Tails Fox is able to take out everybody in the Leaf Village, as without the 4th Hokage, it would have just destroyed Konoha that day. Then, later on in the war, when he is brought back to life with Obito's Rinne Rebirth, he, while blind, 0 Sharingan, no Rinnegan, just blind with Sage Mode, fodderizes KCM2 Sage Mode Naruto, one-shots him, and he also fodderizes Sasuke, who has the help of Tobirama. Takes them out immediately, no problem, and then fights all 6 Biju, overpowers them, and captures them all to become the 10 Tails Jinchuriki. At this point in time, he gets 1 Rinnegan Eye, and Hagoromo states that Madara is starting to approach him in power.
In the same panel that Hagoromo talks about the fact that he's slowly closing in on the power gap between them, he makes the assertion that his goal is trying to get Kaguya's power. We know that he achieves his goal when he does get the other Rinnegan and the Rinne Sharingan. With that information, we can make the assertion that Madara should be in the same ballpark as Kaguya in terms of strength, but he should definitely be stronger than Hagoromo.
Hagoromo was able to create a Chibaku Tensei so large that it is literally the moon. So Madara should at least be moon level, possibly higher. So let's move on to speed now. Edo Madara is having an easy time reacting to and responding to the Inoki amped Raikage while getting jumped, and he should be close to light speed at this point in time. We don't exactly know how fast the Raikage is, but there are statements such as him having light-like reflexes, and some translations say he is just light speed. But to be on the safer side, we'll just say he's somewhere in the relativistic range, as he is definitely above a lightning bolt in speed at this time. Naruto in KCM1 isn't as fast as the Raikage, but he is at least comparable to him. We can assume he would be somewhere around the amped Raikage's speed while in KCM2 Sage Mode, as at that time he is also keeping up with KCM Minato, who in base is faster than the Raikage version 2 Lightning Cloak anyway. We can say that alive Madara should already be above light speed and combat speed, as he is easily fighting everybody present. He nags Hashirama, gets his movement nerfed by Gaara, and takes basically the only damage that he takes in the entire encounter, and is still just fighting off everybody. He accomplished all of his goals. He kills Naruto, and fast enough to stop Tobirama twice, who was using Flying Raijin on him. So after the Hagoromo amps that Sasuke and Naruto get, they come back way faster and way stronger. Sasuke is able to blitz One-Eye Madara, and Naruto was able to dodge the Sage Art Storm Style Fang of Light while being targeted by a Limbo clone. There is a calc for this being 2.11 times the speed of light based on the movement of Naruto, but considering that he is being restrained by a Limbo clone and is off guard when shot at near point blank range by this jutsu that Madara does not charge up or anything, he just kind of pops it, we can say his reaction speed is safely above light speed. As Madara gains another Rinnegan Eye, his Limbo clones are able to fight Naruto to a near standstill and hold off Sasuke, meaning he should be at least relative to them in speed. At this point in time, all three of them should be safely above light speed in combat and reaction speed. So let's start with Madara's hack/abilities. One of the more important ones is the Limbo clones. They are basically clones of himself in another dimension, and he can create 4 of them. And they aren't like a normal shadow clone where if you punch them one time they disappear. These Limbo clones are shown to take significant damage as they've blocked multiple of Sasuke and Naruto's attacks. So you can create 4 of these clones that should be able to do the same things as Madara in another dimension where you need Senjutsu or the Rinnegan to even be able to see them. Considering they're clones, they should be able to create and control the truth-seeking orbs just like Madara can. He also has Genjutsu, and this is a major win con for him. He has Genjutsu that should scale above Obito, and Obito was able to put into a Genjutsu a perfect Jinchuriki. And we know this is extremely hard to do because Jinchuriki should be able to wake their host, or the host should be able to wake their Jinchuriki from the Genjutsu. But Obito was able to do this to both of them. So when Sukuna was able to use Megami to take the burden of the mental overload of Unlimited Void, Madara should be able to just make both of them take the Genjutsu, as a Jinchuriki is basically another soul inside of a person. This is not even to mention the fact that he also has the Infinite Tsukiyomi, which was able to paralyze the entire ninja world. And in this world, a lot of people have been practicing their entire lives to be able to counter Genjutsu. Yet nothing was strong enough to block this. Not even Sasuke could look at the light from the Infinite Tsukiyomi. He also has regeneration and might even be immortal. So when he only has one eye and Guy kicks him and explodes half of his body, Madara makes the statement that he almost died from this. But we do learn later on that Kaguya cannot die at all. She just has like perfect regeneration and needs to be sealed away. At what point does Madara reach Kaguya level? Is it when he gets the Rinne Sharingan that he becomes absolutely immortal, kind of like Kaguya? Or is that just Kaguya specific? We don't really know exactly. So for this battle, we'll say that completely vaporizing his body or something like that would indeed be enough to kill him. He also has perhaps the most important hacks that I've ever seen in an anime character, and it is the power to fly. True flight. He can just go places. Very important in this battle. Sukuna's domain range for max effective potency is 200 meters. You know what Madara can do? Fly away. That's all I'm saying. Your turn.
You know, he's really got the ability to fly. Like, what the fuck? Like,
Most important ability, bro. Trust.
Mind blowing. Madara is also able to use truth-seeking orbs at will. Now that he does have the Rinne Sharingan and practically everything in Kaguya's arsenal, he's able to just create these orbs and just use them however he wants to. The truth-seeking orbs are able to completely parallel whatever it touches. It literally disintegrates whatever it touches. The existence of it as well. So if, hypothetically, Madara were to throw one of these dark Pokeballs at Sukuna, his entire body would start disintegrating, just vanish from the get-go upon impact. It should make sense that Madara should be able to use these abilities with his Limbo clones. So picture 5 characters having like a snowball fight against Sukuna, but every snowball that it just touches Sukuna kills him.
To shoot a little bit of bail, he only has a 70-meter radius though for these, in which he can telekinetically control them.
It's kind of like controlling them with a Wii remote. He decides where he wants them to land, and they're definitely going to be landing on Sukuna. That's making the assumption that he has a higher speed. So just to conclude, Madara should be on the ranges of Moon to Moon Plus in terms of AP, possibly higher. For speed, he should logically be at least 2.11 times the speed of light. For his win con, he could likely just throw a snowball at him, and Sukuna's just gone.
And for the second win con, Genjutsu, we can calculate how much information Unlimited Void fills you with it being 6 months every 0.2 seconds. And Sukuna, after taking 10 seconds of this, suffered enough brain damage where he could not use a domain. And Itachi with a lesser form of Tsukiyomi made a person experience 60 years in 1 second. So Madara, theoretically, with his infinite Tsukiyomi, should be able to just fry Sukuna in 1 second with a Genjutsu if he hits him with it.
That's actually a good point. I actually forgot to bring that up. For Sukuna, I'm just going to start with the abilities. He's got his normal abilities, Dismantle and Cleave. The Cleave being able to adjust depending on the toughness of the cursed energy that he's able to sense. He could either fully one-shot you, or just like Yuji, he's able to hit you with the ability Cleave, and it's only able to cut marks. So depending on the toughness or how strong the character in question is that he hits with Cleave, he can either get one-shotted or he can get slightly damaged. Cleave is an ability, just like Dismantle. They're both slashing abilities, and they're able to cut anything that he does, put his finger on, or just completely aims at. It's not an automatic ability. He has to literally aim it at something in order for him to activate Cleave, which means that it does have an activation time, so it's not instant. Sukuna also got regeneration abilities to the point where he's able to regenerate an entire heart, limbs, or pretty much anything as long as his head is connected to his stomach, as that is the rules to RCT. Now that he's got Megumi as a vessel, he does claim his abilities, and to be fair, 9 out of the 10 shadows, they're kind of ass, they're like Joker henchmen. But Mahoraga does matter though, with his ability to be able to literally adapt to anything. Let's say hypothetically that Madara does punch him. The wheel on Sukuna's head will slightly adapt to it by changing in gear, and if it does adapt to it, he just wouldn't be affected by punching attacks anymore. So as long as Madara doesn't one-shot him with his uppercut, Sukuna will likely just adapt to the abilities themselves because of the ability that Mahoraga does have.
Do you think Mahoraga would have been able to adapt to Gojo's purple if he did like smaller purples at him?
I don't think Mahoraga is able to adapt to something that is considered to be infinite mass or just imaginary mass that disintegrates anything it touches. As the concept of being able to adapt to something that erases something just doesn't make sense to me. Probably could have, but we don't know yet. All we do know is every time somebody's been hit with a purple, he did not come back, just like a true Sukuna. He also has the domain expansion, which he's able to tie in his 2 initial abilities into it, give him a complete aimbot and destroying everyone and everything inside of a 200-meter radius. He also has durability negation with his slashing abilities, being able to literally cut space, and that's how he killed Gojo. He was able to literally cut Gojo out of space because his ability manipulates the space inside. So if he's able to locate where Madara is, he could likely just cut him in half, and that would likely be his win con in terms of abilities. He would, if he has the ability to shoot him because of the speed, he does have a gun that can kill him. The bullets in his chambers should be able to kill Madara, and that's it for abilities. For AP, Sukuna is able to beat up Jogo and should logically scale above Jogo. And Jogo is able to summon a meteor big enough and strong enough to collapse more than 5 massive buildings, including 2 skyscrapers. Although this isn't as impressive as something that Madara is able to do, he does scale above Jogo, and Jogo in return scales above Dagon, who's able to create a small like island. This in itself should put him above the island in question, as there's a chain scale that puts Sukuna massively above everyone else. Kenjaku states that a special grade curse or curse user, they're able to overthrow countries, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're able to chip countries away by the punch or kick or whatever they have in their arsenal. It's more like they're able to slowly destroy cities and overtake them. He's got his fire arrow as well. He's able to shoot nukes between his finger guns that are able to blow up skyscrapers and Mahoraga. Then again, this wouldn't scale anywhere. Both the meteor itself and the fire arrow themselves scale to small town level based on these calcs, which is still massively below what Madara is. But he does have durability negation, so he doesn't really need AP. And that's pretty much it. You want to bring something up, Skittles?
Yes, actually. So you might be wondering why we haven't mentioned Planetary, Sukuna, or the Yuki Black Hole feat, since Sukuna kind of scales above everybody. We can't really use the Yuki feat to scale other characters because this was a suicide attack that she did. Because she can only do this attack when she's literally killing herself, we can't say another character definitively has an attack that's stronger than that. Does Gojo have an attack that if he did a purple that exploded from his own body is even stronger than that? Possibly, but we don't know. We can't really scale off of it because, well, she's never used this technique before. Also, Kenjaku had a perfect counter to it and used his own body as a domain to amp his technique. Along with the fact that he says that Yuki's will and Tengen's barrier were suppressing the black hole, and then goes on to thank Tengen for that. Meaning that Kenjaku also probably would have died to this technique if it wasn't for Tengen and Yuki suppressing the mass. So we can't really say that Sukuna just definitively would be able to beat this technique.
Alright, that wraps up the AP part. Now for Sukuna's speed scaling. For speed, there's really nothing besides the Kashima feat. Everything before that is kind of buns. Characters don't even move faster than Mach 3. The Kashimo scale, where Hakari is able to literally head dodge or just weave the lightning bolt, should logically put him at MHS or massively hypersonic, lightning speed, whatever you want to call it. He can shoot electromagnetic waves that are able to eradicate anything it touches, and Sukuna is able to dodge it, but despite dodging it, we don't really know what time frame or the distance that he did dodge, so we cannot really call this a light speed feat. So just to conclude the whole Sukuna section, he is island level probably. He has the ability negation with a slash. Speed, he's around light speed, definitely lower, but he's confirmed at least lightning speed. His win con would likely be that he shoots Madara with a cleave, with a planetary cleave, or space cutting cleave, whatever you want to call it. And that's pretty much it. Do you have something to add, Skittles?
No, it's just mainly try to catch Madara inside of his domain, possibly close the barrier, and just start slashing and hope for the best.
Madara does have shadow clones to the point where there are 5 people, and not only are they 5, but the limbo clones are literally interacting from different dimensions. I don't believe that Sukuna does have anything inside of his arsenal where he's able to attack through dimensions. So Madara's little shadow clones should be able to just throw truth-seeking orbs at him from the other dimensions, and that would likely be the win con off of Madara.
And you might be thinking that it's possible that Madara gets caught off guard by the domain and is starting to get sliced apart before he even knows what's happening. But with Madara's pretty large speed advantage and the fact that Madara has precog with his Sharingan, he would probably be able to tell the moment the domain pops, because domains do have activation speeds and they do need to set out the barrier area. It's not an instant thing that happens. He would probably notice this is going to happen and either get out of the 200-meter radius or get out of it very shortly after the domain activates before he is killed.
Madara's also vastly stronger and faster, so if he does get caught inside of the domain itself, there's really nothing stopping him from just hitting Sukuna dead on his chest and just blowing him up.
Yeah, as we know, Sukuna's domain does go down if he takes enough damage. Also, in the range department, Madara could just play keep away and just use Light Fang from across the map. There's not really many ways for Sukuna to close the distance unless he tries to hide in the shadows or use like Rabbit Escape or something, but that wouldn't really matter, as Madara can also call down like 7 to 10 meteors at one time, and it's like Sukuna has no answer for that. Whereas he was even going to take damage from Jogo's maximum meteor if it had actually hit him. So I just don't see there's any way that Sukuna ever definitively gets the win. It is possible that he could trick Madara maybe, but that's being very generous to Sukuna and kind of downplaying Madara's own intelligence. Like maybe Madara got too cocky, but I can't really give that to him.
This marks the end of the video, and hopefully you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe to Skittles and this channel, and peace.